For some of you, you might be expecting that this is a deja vu of something we've already done, because we are doing pictographs again. So a picture graph, or a pictograph, uses symbols to represent data. Let's make sure that you understand that that is Halloween Flip. If you want to go back and watch that, go right ahead. It might give you some insight on how pictographs and bar graphs work. But today's lesson will concentrate on reading and creating pictographs and bar graphs, and drawing scaled pictographs, and also comparing them with data from pictographs and bar graphs. I found this quote and I thought it was a drawing is simply a line going for a walk. Pictographs really use pictures, so we're actually going to have drawings that are worth 1,000 words. Let's get started with an anytime problem. Sarah spent $5 from her savings to buy a book. Then she spent half of her remaining savings when she paid $9 for a shirt. So let's make sure that that's $9. And how much did she spend for a book? $5. So we don't know exactly how much her savings is, but we know she spent $5. So she took away $5. Well, she had a remaining savings that she paid $9, but she only paid half of her remaining savings. So what's half of 9? No, not half of 9. What times 2 equals 9? So actually that's a division problem, and we have a box equals 18. 18 plus 5. What's 18 plus 5? 8 plus 5 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Carry the 10 up to the top. 110 plus 110 equals 2 tens. 23. And so our answer is $23. Today's lesson, let's explore, first of all, how this works. And so if I make a graph here, I can make a quick graph with some toys. And so let's pick some toys. I have some toy dogs. And I want to know how many that I have. And so this is, let's call this John's. And he has a lot of toys. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got like 8 of those dogs. Well, in a pictograph, we can actually take, and instead of having a picture for every one of his toys, we can change that so that each toy represents 4 animals. So if we take that toy times 4, take this toy times 4, and we've got 1, 2 toys times 4, that equals 8 total toys. Well, let's put this into a perspective and let's use an actual problem. Cain has some CDs. He has some jazz CDs, some rap CDs, and some classical CDs. So let's change the title and call this CDs. And how many CDs does he have? Well, he's got a couple here. But let's give him. There's something around that looks like a CD. And he's got jazz, rap, and classical. So if we go jazz, rap, and classical, we can put this in. We can put jazz, and he likes his who's a rap singer, and he also likes his classical Bach. And from the jazz CDs, there's 12 CDs. 1, 2, 3, He has 12 CDs, and some of those disappeared, but they're still there. And his raps, he has, oh look, it's counting by twos. See that? 9, 10, 11, 12. So 16. And then classical, he has 4. So this is counting by twos. 2, 4. He's got 4 classical CDs. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 rap CDs. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 CDs. Well, let's change that so it's by 4s, and watch what happens. If it's counting by 4s, notice there's only one bowling ball that represents the 4 classical CDs that he has, and 4, 8, 12, 16, but he only has 1, 2, 3, 4 bowling balls or CDs to represent his 16 raps CDs, and 1, 2, 3, 3 times 4 is 12 jazz CDs. So there's a good representation of how we would use this as a pictograph. Now let's model it, and what we're going to do is we're going to change this so that number of students, you have to be able to label your thing, and let's just make that a bit smaller so you guys can see it. Number of students, if we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 22, we actually have how many students in our class? We have 25. So my chart is going to go a little bit over, but maybe not everybody's going to like the same things. So on the bottom we're going to have activity, and before we start we need to decide what are we going to be counting by. Well, let's count by twos. Twos make sense, and so each of these blocks represents 2 people. Well, let's get some activities here. In this column we're going to have walking. In this column we're going to have soccer. In this column we're going to have biking, running, science, can't forget science, swimming, reading, and basketball. Well, if I surveyed each of our students in our class, we'd be able to see that a lot of people like soccer. So would I use 2 people? That block represents 2 people. Would that be appropriate? No. Let's save that for another activity. I bet there are at least 10 people that like soccer. And there's probably 14 people. Is that 14? No. Let's try 14 people that like biking. See, I had to match it up so it got up to 14. Well, what if I have this many people that like science, -1? How am I going to make sure that that's 17 people instead of 18? Well, I'm actually going to have to change that shape so it only goes halfway up. And now I move it down, and notice it goes halfway between. There we go. And so we notice right there, that's 17 people like science. Let's do another one. I bet there's at least this many that like swimming. And there's 18, but I think I need to make it more like everybody, right? Well, maybe there's a couple that don't. So let's do 22. 22 people like to go swimming. And so you notice this bar graph kind of shows us about how many people like these different activities. And we keep track of the numbers over here to show that there are 2 people all the way up to 25 people that like these different activities. And so I can safely say that probably only 2 people like to read, right? I would hope not. I hope you all like to read. Well, these bars are going up and down, but sometimes you're going to see bars that go sideways. And so what would happen is we'd put these numbers, see these numbers right here? We'd actually put them where the activity is. And then we'd be able to count going sideways. Well, we'll show you what these bar graphs are, because there's horizontal bar graphs and also vertical bar graphs. And so the ones that go sideways are horizontal, and the ones that go up and down are called vertical. And so we're learning not only pictographs, but we're also learning bar graphs. And so to keep track of them, think of the pictograph as having a picture. Let's do this one together. I want you to pause the video so you can be able to check to see if you have this answer. How many more students play guitar than violin? Okay, moving on. Let's see if you have this answer. If I'm counting each of these music notes equals 4 students, I'm going to count up the guitars first. So we got the guitars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I take 5 times 4, I get, what's 5 times 4? 20. So there's 20 guitar students. Now let's count up the violin students. 2, 4, 6. Oh, did I do it right? No, we're counting by 4s. So let me count again. 4, 8, 12. So there are 12 violin students. So I can take this and, which operation am I going to use? Subtraction. And how do I borrow from the 2 over here? I borrow two 10s, make this a 10, I make that a 1. 10 minus 2 is 8. There are 8 more students who play guitar. And better put students, 8 students. So let's check your answer. See if you got it right. 8 more students. Let's try problem solving. And this one's a bar graph. Notice that it's going sideways. What's that called? Horizontal. Pause the video and see if you can answer this question. So let's answer how many more students chose doctor than the firefighter. So let's count up how many doctor chose doctor. Oh, this is counting differently. This is counting by tens. So let's count up how many lines. There's 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines. And if we go straight on down, we can see that there are 60 people that chose doctor. And now we can go to firefighter. 10, 20, 30. Well, right off the bat, I can see that we're doing subtraction again. 6 minus 3. Notice I didn't even bother with that 0 because I knew that I can just bring it on down. So there are 30 more students. 30 more students is the correct answer. Well, quick practice today. I found this the other day, and this guy, the Mr. Numbers guy, and I'll put this on the website so you can see it, he showed me a different way to find my 3 times tables. So you do a tic-tac-toe, and you do your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then watch. We're going to put zeros in front of this row, and then we're going to put 1s in front of this row. And do you see the pattern that's forming? These are the 3 times tables. You have 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4, 3 times 5, 3 times 6, 3 times 7, 3 times 8, and 3 times 9. You'll be able to watch the video, and maybe you can relearn your 3s or learn them better. And I also found another one that you might like. So there's 2 videos that you can watch from the blog. And oh, look at that, another pictograph. But we're going to skip that pictograph because we're going to do that one in class. Your favorite ice cream flavors. Well, I want you to pause the video so that you can get some of these vocabulary. We want to know what a pictograph is, what the key is, what a horizontal bar graph is, and what a vertical bar graph is. And so let's click on pictograph, pause the video, write down the definition. A graph that uses pictures or symbols to represent data. Key, pause the video, write down a part of a map, graph, or chart that explains what symbols mean. And horizontal bar graph is a bar graph with horizontal bars. Pause. And a vertical bar graph, a bar graph with vertical bars. So to keep that straight for me, I picture this picture. The horizon, I see the sea forever. Horizon is horizontal. Whereas a tree, the tree behind this person, is vertical. It goes up and down. So there's a way to figure out horizontal versus vertical bar graphs. I'm going to put this on the website so you can see that there is a way to practice your bar graphs and your pictographs. So how many medals has the ladybug won? You look at the ladybug, there's 2, 4, 6, if it's counting by twos. And so you can try that one at home. That's a you-do activity. Here's some of the activities we will do in class on Friday. We're going to be looking at some bar graphs, some data, and we're going to put those into a pictograph and look at how a pictograph actually works. So be ready to practice some of the skills you're learning during this video. You're going to have this as homework. You're going to have a note going home, and you also will have to create your own bar or pictograph. So here's your assignment. In a nutshell, you probably want to pause the video so you can see this. Take a survey of the class, your family, your friends. Create a pictograph from the survey. I'll show you some examples. Read the data on the pictograph. Make sure there is a key. Write some questions about the data and the pictograph that will be answered by another student in your group on Friday. And finally, ask yourself some questions. What did you learn by doing this? And here is an example of what I'm talking about. This is an I-do activity, so you're going to have to follow along. I took these boxes of cereal and I surveyed my family. So when you do your own survey, you probably want to do more than 10 people, because then your data can be validated. Well, if you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people liked the cereal Life, and only 1 person liked Raisin Bran. So I'm going to take that data and I'm going to make this pilgrim be represented by 2 people. And so when I go to do my Life cereal, I can go 2, 4, 6. And what about Raisin Bran? I only have 1. How am I going to get that pilgrim in half? I've already made a half pilgrim. See? Now I take that half pilgrim and he represents 1 person. And so now I have 1 person that likes Raisin Bran. And you fill out the rest of your pictograph like this. So you take your survey items, you find out how many people like something, and then you make your own pictograph, make your own key, and make your own titles. And so what would I call this? I really need a title that says favorite cereal. And then I would put that at the top of my pictograph. Now, here are some examples, and if you pause this, I'll try to make sure you can see this, but you can do ice cream flavors, Girl Scout cookies, their favorite Girl Scout, popcorn cells, lemonade cells, stuffed animal collections, post office. You could even do stamps, how many customers visited the French's restaurant, cupcake bakery, bird watching pictograph, a fishing trip, a pumpkin carving pictograph. Remember to do your WSQ, where, when, and who. This is a you do activity. You have to do this. Sum up what you saw and make sure you have a couple questions for your pictograph that you made, or any questions that you have about knowing how to do bar graphs and pictographs. But this is my homework. My homework, I'm going to show you how many students have done their homework in the last 6 weeks. And so that's the time since parent-teacher conference, and I'll show you how many have been doing their homework consistently. So this is an I do activity, and you'll be able to see how everybody's been doing. So that's all I have for tonight. Good night, and good luck on your surveys and pictographs.